I painted both of these with a $34 kit that fits in my pocket. And I've spent years telling people that watercolor just isn't my thing. So what happened here? One of these I painted from a little sketch that came right in the book, but the other was my own idea, blank page. But we'll get to both. Quick honesty moment. I've avoided watercolor for years, and I have real reasons. Most of my work lives in vibrant, opaque color, and that is just not what watercolor does best. It's transparent by nature. And I market my work as museum quality, and watercolor makes that really hard. It's tough to get pigments that are truly archival and won't fade. The binder just isn't as fade resistant, and you can't exactly varnish a watercolor to protect it. So when this Tobios kit showed up, I fully expected to be underwhelmed. But here's what actually happened. Here's how most people waste money on art supplies. And I'll say up front that I really don't count because everything I buy is a tax write-off. But for everyone else, it's one of two ways. You either drop hundreds on heavy professional gear that you're too intimidated to set up or actually use, or you grab a cheap plastic knockoff that falls apart in a month. This kit sits somewhere in the middle, and honestly, that's the whole point. Now, real talk, I don't paint every single day, and I'll admit that, because I don't just make art, I also have to run the business of art. So on the days when I've got 20 minutes before my kids wake up or I'm away on a trip, I am not pulling out a whole setup to paint for hours. The great thing about the Tobios kit is that it is open, clip, paint. 5 seconds, that's the setup. It fits right in my pocket, no mess. It clears airport security, so it actually comes with me when I travel. And because it's spill proof and literally this small, you can paint somewhere public and no one gives you a second look. There's no water cups balanced on a coffee table, no giant sketchbook, just you and a little page. Okay, so let's talk about the pre-sketched pages. At first, I really wasn't sure if I liked these, but here's the thing, even if you're not a beginner, artist block is real. And so for my first painting on these, I didn't have to think about what to paint. I just grabbed my color and let my mind roam, and every other page is still blank. So if you're painting outside or you actually feel inspired, you've got room for your own ideas too. This next part really surprised me and I really liked it. The two halves snap together with magnets when you're ready to paint and snap closed when you pack up so the mess stays contained. It's solid walnut, not plastic, and it genuinely feels like a premium product, which is not what I expected at this price point. I told you I barely have any watercolor experience. I usually use acrylics and oils, so I really did not know what to expect with this product, but the pigments were really vibrant, and it came with a free ebook of watercolor basics that you could scan the QR code and see, which for a total beginner, that's a really thoughtful touch. Let's go over the palette design as well, because I thought this was really well thought out. They give you the paints so you can choose which colors go in, so you have more paint tubes than you have places for paint. This is really thoughtful because a lot of kits this size come pre-filled with random colors, so you can't pick and you can't easily refill, but here you can customize it. So if you're an experienced watercolor artist, you can drop in the paints you already own and the ones that you trust instead of relying on the quality of their paints if you don't trust it. And that flexibility is really rare and really valuable. They also sent me a fine liner pen, and I really liked this because it says archival on it, which I'm a sucker for archival things. And it didn't smear when I painted water over it. So small thing, big difference. Okay, the paper. I'll be straight with you. This was probably my least favorite part, but I'll come back to it. It absorbs water well enough to actually let you paint, and that's what matters. And one more thing that tells me Tobios actually stands behind this. They have a 60-day return policy and free shipping, and they're confident enough to let you send it back. So as a business owner myself, I know that actually means something. Now the cons, because there are a few, and I'm not gonna pretend there aren't. The paper, let's come back to that. It's efficient and it didn't bend too much, but it still felt thin and buckled a little. Honestly, if they upped the weight so a finished painting lays flat and feels a little like a trading card, that alone would add a lot of value to me. The armband for cleaning your brush was a touch tight as well. I was fine because I have small wrists, but if you're a larger person, that would be worth knowing. And finally, removing the seal off a couple of the paint tubes was harder than it should be, so I ended up having to puncture instead of peeling, but that's minor since you only have to do it once. But here's the thing, you have to think about the actual point of this kit. It's not here to make museum quality work or full-size paintings, so to me, none of these cons are really a deal breaker. So here's my actual takeaway. As someone who is trying to protect your wallet, I wouldn't recommend cheaping out on a plastic duplicate that's only gonna last you a month. I've done that multiple times. And don't let anyone convince you that you need to spend hundreds of dollars on equipment that you're not gonna use every day. This Tobios kit is 34 bucks. It's tiny, it's cute, it goes a surprisingly long way for its size, and it removes the friction of painting. So whether you're advanced or you're a total beginner, you can actually keep a practice and feel confident in it, which is really important. This is the thing I would genuinely reach for if I needed a 10-minute breather and I don't want to drag out a whole setup. So cons and all, for what it's built to do, it was absolutely worth the money.